Good morning, Ashlea.
Good morning, Kim.
We are back for One Thing More, and I am really happy that you are agreeing to join me today as Jamelyn is out with David celebrating their anniversary.
19 years.
Yeah, I know. So congratulations to them for that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we're going to carry on and talk about the sermon.
Yeah, surprises and hopes. That
Yeah.
was what we were asked to do. What are the surprises of 2021 and what were our hopes moving into 2022?
Yeah.
So, what did you share as your surprise of
My
2021?
surprise was that people were able to. I was surprised by the number of people that were able to name their challenges and then ask for help, like to say, I'm struggling, to like sort of lean into vulnerability a little bit or a lot, and just say, hey, I need some help.
Yeah, I decided I was just tired of change in general and decided change in 2021 was my surprise. I'm not sure why. Like, everybody has changed. I just think everybody is just still really tired from 2020, right?
Yeah.
And the change just keeps coming. And so everyday changes just seem to be magnified. I think that's what I was trying to get at when I said change.
Yeah, and for sure. And I mean, in 2020, I can remember thinking, I'll deal with this for a month, 6 weeks, and we'll be back to normal. And here we are starting 2022, and I feel like there's a whole new wave of, should I go to a restaurant? Should I not go to a restaurant?
Well, it's funny you say that. We just had that conversation in our house this past week, and we were like, well, maybe we should cut back going to a restaurant because the cases are rising, and you're watching hospitals become overwhelmed again,
Right.
and masks are going back on, and yeah. So what was your hope for 2022?
My hope was that we could continue to be vulnerable, and I think it sort of piggybacks off of what you said. I really love what you said, and I'll let you say what you said in a minute. But that we are able to just become a more beloved community, that we're able to be with each other and be vulnerable with each other and not be afraid to do that and not be afraid we're going to be attacked or our voice is not going to be heard and validated, whether or not I agree with you. Your voice still deserves validation.
Yeah, because my hope for 2022 was love. And I guess I'm just growing very weary of all the anger and hate that I just see from the news to everyday life to social media, right?
Yeah.
And so I had said love, but I said it has to be this love from God because it's seeing each other as a child of God and making the choice to say you matter and what you're feeling matters and to have the hard conversations.
Yeah.
And I think if people would just take the time to do that, the world might be a little bit better place.
Yeah, that reminds me of a news story I heard, and I don't watch the news very much anymore at all. I used to be a news junkie, but not anymore. And I've always been a social media misfit. I've never really joined in very much.
Well, I used to always do social media, and now it is just so wearing on me that I rarely get on. Sometimes I get on. I tend to follow more of, whose birthday is it or what great thing has happened in somebody's life, but it's so hard anymore.
Yeah, not the chatter. But there's a movement, I guess. I think it started in Atlanta, and it may still only be in Atlanta, but I think they call it Make America Dinner Again.
Oh, I haven't heard about this.
And so people with disparate views about things have agreed to get together and have a meal that they each pitch into.
Yeah.
And just eat dinner and then have some conversation. And, of course, what they've learned is that we can have different opinions, but when I see you and when I share a meal with you, I have a connection to you that creates a relationship with you that makes me able to, sit with that.
Right, right.
And I thought, oh, that's so cool. And they were doing them on Zoom at first, and I think they did some, in the fall, face-to-face, but I thought, oh, that's a cool idea.
Yeah, I just think sharing a meal, one, is a great idea with somebody, but when you're sitting with somebody, looking somebody in their eyes, it's hard. Well, it is hard for me anyway, to find hate no matter, even if I disagree with them, we can all still get along and we can still love one another.
Absolutely.
People in my house don't agree on everything, but I don't hate them.
No, right.
And I'm not throwing nasty words at them or anything.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And when you think about the Bible, I mean, how many disagreements were there? Lots and lots and lots.
Lots.
Yeah.
Lots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we can disagree and still love each other.
Absolutely,
I love
we
that.
can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's see. Dave's hope for 2022. Do you remember what his hope was?
What was his hope? Man.
We're not doing very well here. We
No.
didn't pay attention to the senior pastor. I remember Chamberlain's hope because it really spoke to me. Sorry, Dave. But she was talking about being a parent, right? And parents get so wrapped up in what their kids are doing, and am I doing this the right way? And well, my kid may be getting too much screen time, or my kid's not eating right, or my kid's not involved in this sport. And her point was, we all just need to take a deep breath, right? That's what I got from it.
Yeah,
let's
and slow
just
down.
slow down, take a deep breath, and move into 2022 knowing we're all tired.
And I hope that 2020 and 2021 have taught us that. Like all
I
the
hope so.
scurrying hasn't gotten us out of this COVID mess, you know, and it's not going to. And
No.
I mean, what better time than after 2 years of living in a pandemic and
Yeah.
the whole globe being traumatized by that than to just like take a step back and get some perspective about what's happened. And
Yeah,
what we
I've
want.
had a lot of parents say to me, I feel like we were in quarantine, you know, it was a very slow pace of life, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden we just went back to full pace,
Yeah.
what our normal lives used to
As
be.
if things
As if
were-
things hadn't
Yeah,
changed.
yeah,
And I think
right.
that has made us all very tired. And so I really liked what Chamberlain had to say, which was, let's all take a deep breath.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And you know, and I'm the mom whose kids spent way too much screen time, right? And didn't eat all the right foods, or we did drive through. But I can tell you they will graduate high school, like she said. My oldest did last year, and she's fine so far. So
Exactly.
I mean-
I can remember, you know, it's been a long time ago. My kid loved Taco Bell. And I mean, honestly, I think we got it like 2 or 3 times a week
yeah.
because it was just easy. And that's something she would eat, right?
Oh,
and she
yeah.
graduated from college, had a great
See?
career, is momming 3 kids.
She's
it
fine.
all works out.
She's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
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 So, but I thought that was great that it was just everybody pause, give yourself a break.
Yeah, I think we could definitely slow down, for sure.
I mean, I'm sure you see people coming in tired. In your
It's the
practice.
first week of the year, right?
Right.
And people are already saying, I wasn't ready to start again. I feel exhausted already because I think you're right. We're living in this. So for me in COVID, like I know time is still linear, but I feel like it's wavy, and you get
Agree.
caught in a wave and like double book or miss something or forget something because our brains kind of, I think, operate on, we've returned to normal, but we haven't.
We haven't.
And so we're trying to operate like normal, but it's not a normal time. And so there's that disconnect.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. We are not back to normal.
we're not.
And I don't know that we'll ever get back to what we consider normal pre-COVID. I think our new normal is going to look different.
For sure.
Yeah, let alone in our own lives, the church, just every place.
Yeah.
I will say the one thing that COVID helped me do was take that pause, right? And so now I don't feel as guilty.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're
If
in
you don't
quarantine,
do-
you can't do anything, but I realized everything's still functioning, even though
Yeah,
I'm locked,
that's a
like we're
great
locked
point.
away in quarantine, but
Yeah.
things still happen.
Yeah, things still go. And certainly God is still
And
doing
God's
what
still
God,
working.
what
Exactly.
God does all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that reminds me of Seth's hope, I think, is that we would, like, as the church, sort of figure out what it looks like, what it means to be church, how we engage, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. Church is definitely different than it was prior to COVID. And of course, United Methodist Church is facing their own challenges.
They're definitely.
Yeah, but I think to Seth's point, God still is in control.
Yeah.
And he's still going to do what he's going to do.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
really
and I
doesn't matter
wonder
what we're doing.
If this is like hey, people, like, wake up. Like, I'm still in charge here, and you're not, right? I'm God, and you're not. And so
I was listening to a podcast on my way to work this morning, and I remember they were just talking about, it was back on Genesis, actually, and God creating the world. And I was thinking, he created this world, and it's good. Mm-hmm. And right now, I think it's easy to get into a place where we just go, it's awful.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Yeah,
it's still God. It's still good because God's still controlling it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And He always wants the best for us.
Yeah. So let's see. Perry had his own issues with moving. That was his surprises. That would be awful. It would be.
I can't imagine.
90-day delay.
Yeah, and then having to live in a hotel for 2-3 weeks.
Yeah. So you got upgraded to a suite though. So he turned it, lemons into lemonade.
He did, and I think his hope is the same thing based around anger. Mm-hmm. It's wearing on people. Mm-hmm. I think it contributes to the exhaustion.
I think so too, and honestly, I think it's a lot easier to be kind than it is to be mean.
It takes far more energy to be angry at somebody than it does just to say, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
How do we fix this and move on?
Yeah, and how often does anger really change anything?
It doesn't.
It doesn't. And kindness changes things a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, we think anger is going to change people, but it doesn't.
It doesn't.
All it does is seem to exhaust you. Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
if I'm angry with somebody, I'm more tired.
That's
and it's
true.
not really affecting them.
Right, exactly.
They're just going on about their day, and I'm like,
you're exerting a lot of energy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, wasting a lot of energy. Yeah. I wonder, for people that heard the sermon or that will listen to the sermon, what their surprises for 2021.
I know. I would love to hear what some of their surprises were. Or what are their hopes for 2022 moving into it?
Exactly.
I don't think we asked for people to even submit
Give
those,
us some
did we?
feedback,
Give
but
us
we
some
can
feedback.
ask from
Maybe
the podcast.
From the podcast, we can say, hey, what are your surprises?
Yeah.
From 2021, and what are your hopes from 2022? Yep. So I just think it's a good thing to think about. I know when I got the questions for Dave, the surprise was very hard for me.
Yeah, me too.
The hope was easy,
but
the surprise was really hard. What is the one thing that kind of summed it all up?
Do you think that's because you were surprised over and over?
Yes, I think it was constant, and I think that's the conclusion I came to. I was surprised by change, which I'm the type of person who I love change. It doesn't bother me. And so when it started to weigh on me, I started to really go, I'm going back to 2020.
Yeah.
It's been constant.
Yeah, it has been. And that whole time thing, it seems to it's like
just
one
keeps
big
going.
blob. It's not a lot of distinction.
And it's still moving into 2022 now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just think we lose, the sort of sense of time we had before COVID is different, in COVID and after COVID.
It's like you would move into months and seasons, but I feel like the years just kind of all go together now.
And then I was surprised, I guess I was surprised by this. I was surprised, oh man, the year's over.
Yes.
Week by week and month by month, I'm like, we're still doing this. But then at the end of the year, I'm like, well, how can it be December already?
Yeah. Christmas is over, and now we're into 2022, and I'm like, but I think we're still in 2020. Not that I want to be there, but time is just weird now.
Mm-hmm. It is very weird. Yep. Yeah. And knowing what to do, and what not to do. Mm-hmm. Hey, John, what surprised you? Have you had a chance to think about it?
Oh, that's a great question. I think the thing I've been thinking a lot about is what does the future of the church look like? Is it this hope to go back to what it was and what it looked like kind of pre-pandemic, or is it more this shift in cultural, what is cultural expectations, what are community expectations, what are we as a faith community expecting and hoping for, and I don't know that I have any good answers by that, but I feel like throughout the year I was surprised throughout to hear from different people where they think things are going back to.
Oh, yeah.
And what that fight and that struggle has looked like over the year, to see where those heads have butted, but where people have also said, hey, but what if, or hey, what about? And something you had said just a minute ago reminded me that I read a quote or a tweet from a friend that said, churches are going to be tempted to kind of dump resources out into the digital world and out into the metaverse, but if most people in your actual community barely even know that your church exists, then this would be a waste of resources. What if we picked a problem in our community and put resources there instead? Mm-hmm. What would the church look like? And so that's had me, I've kind of been chewing on that for a couple days. So maybe there's a surprise, some surprises in there, but also some hope for what the next year might look like.
Yeah, thanks. And for those of you who don't know, John is our executive producer extraordinaire, cameraman, sound man.
Awesome
He's
all
everything.
around.
Yeah, so thank you. And that was like a total surprise question. So thanks for jumping in with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, as John was talking, I was thinking another hope that I guess could be for 2022 is this hope of new possibilities of what ministry could look like. Mm-hmm. What could ZUMC do in the surrounding communities to make a difference?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think sometimes when you live in a community like we do that is highly resourced, it's hard to see the need. Yeah. But the need is always there.
Absolutely.
You know? And so, yeah, I would love for us to figure out, like, I love that. Like, I think, I mean, I always want to work locally and hope that has a global impact, because I think that it will, but I think you have to start local.
You have to start where you are.
Yeah,
and it
in
just
your own
keeps going
context.
out.
And yeah. And so if we could like find that thing, or I mean, we do many things in this community already, in the surrounding communities already, but yeah, where is it that God is calling us to really work? Right here, you know, right now.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, so that's something that we can be chewing on this year, for sure.
That's something big. Yeah. Absolutely.
So I'm going to plug the sermon series for the next 6 weeks is about spiritual practices. And I think once again, you know, people have an opportunity to hear all of us in conversation about spiritual practice and the ones that we prefer, and you know why they might be helpful, and you know, encouraging people to try some of their own. So we'll be talking about silence and leadership and prayer and lots of other things. So
yeah, I think that's a great way to start 2022. Working to center ourselves around God, which kind of flows into everything else we're doing.
Yeah, and I'll just confess. I mean, I think I need a restart, like all the time. Like I need, you know, I think sometimes people think like, you know, that we have these amazing spiritual practices, and I have from time to time had those, but from time to time I haven't. And so for me, the beginning of the year is a really good time to like just sort of recalibrate and say, what is my practice going to be? Yeah,
I did that this year because you get busy, right? And things fall or schedules change. And so I'm doing 40 days in the presence of Jesus.
Okay.
I started that book, and I'm just recentering myself.
Yeah. So all of us have to do it.
Absolutely.
So hopefully folks will join us in recalibrating and recentering. Thanks for joining us this week. Thanks for joining me here, Ashlea.
Absolutely.
I hope to see you back again soon.
Sure. Yeah.